Hi folks, Joe Parker here. Today we're going to talk about truss rods and the adjustment of them, and specifically truss rod adjustment at the heel. The truss rod is a threaded piece of steel that is embedded into a guitar neck to counteract the tension of the strings. On a guitar, the strings are constantly pulling on the body and the neck and trying to make it come together, pull the ends together. So a truss rod acts as a truss to pull against that to stabilize it and keep it relatively straight in space. A lot of times guitars will come with the adjustment at the heel. If they don't have an access point that you can get your Allen wrench in, it becomes a bit of a pain in the butt to get to it. So I've got a method that doesn't eliminate the pain, but it does lessen the pain and maybe can help you out. Now ideally, you want a little bit of bow, or I do. You know, there are two different schools of thought. Some techs and luthiers prefer a completely straight neck, and then they'll raise the bridge to achieve clearance. And by clearance, I mean with frets, you want every successive fret to be a bit lower than the one behind it, and that when you have that, it keeps the strings from buzzing, because when you hear string buzz, it's because it's buzzing on a fret that's ahead of it. You can either achieve the relief or the clearance by raising the bridge, or by allowing for a bit of curve that will give you the clearance that you need to avoid string buzz. The problem with this is that you have to detension the strings, remove the neck, and then adjust it, replace the neck, and then retension the strings, and then check the relief. Oh, and this is a very important tool for this. This is one of Stuart McDonald's fret relief gauges, and it really is pretty invaluable to this process. For actual repeatability and accuracy, you got to go with the gauge. So first thing, I put it in the middle on top of the frets, and I'm reading about minus 9 thousandths of relief. Generally, I like to see 6 thousandths. So what that means is the neck is a little more curved than I like. So what I'm going to do is tighten the truss rod to straighten the neck against the string tension. What I'm going to do here is count back 2 full turns, 4 half turns on the tuning keys. And that will loosen the strings uniformly, and when we go to tighten it back up, it'll tighten it back up uniformly. What I do is I look at the position of each tuning key, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And that way I know that the relative position of the key is correct when I go to tune it back up. If this was a vibrato guitar, vibrato equipped guitar, I would probably add another full turn, another 2 half turns, so that if it's a floating vibrato, it'll settle down and then hit bottom, and then the strings will come loose. So by doing this, I have enough looseness in the strings that I can remove the neck without it collapsing. So now I take this capo and close it down, just to keep the strings in place. You know, I'm not really trying to do anything other than that. So I lay the guitar up. This helps speed things up as well. But do be careful. Do pull the screws out. I've tried to leave them in, doesn't help. Now I've laid the guitar down flat, I'm going to wiggle the neck out very carefully to expose the truss rod adjustment. There it is at the heel. And I'm going to give this about 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn. In general, you don't want to tighten the truss rod more than 1/8 of a turn at a time. And if you ever feel like you're turning a truss rod more than 1/2 a turn, you may have an issue. There may be a problem. Having done that, I'm going to replace the neck now. Very carefully, because you don't want to chip the finish around the neck pocket. Replace the neck screws. And this is where the cordless drill really comes in handy. Again, you want to be careful with the finish. You also want to be careful with the tightness, the overall tightness of it. You don't want to over torque. Neck screws don't need to be super tight. We're gonna let the capo go. and then retighten them the 2 turns, the 2 full turns that I loosened them, and that will put us back into the approximate string tension that we're looking for. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this way, you know, if we don't nail it, we don't have to sit there and fine-tune the tuning because we know it's pretty close. Now we're looking at just under -7, which is okay. But what I'll also do, I'll also measure on the ends of the fretboards just to see, you know, get a bigger picture of what I'm looking at relief-wise. I'm getting less than 5 there. I'm getting 5 there. I would say this is actually pretty good. They're all within my target window, and I'm happy with that. So at this point, I'll go ahead and finish tuning up. The E's good, the A's very close, and you know, if that didn't quite get there, you just repeat, you know. But that's what this method is good for. It allows for a predictable way forward when you're doing this particular adjustment on the heel. And you know, the principle is the same with a headstock access as far as, you know, how the truss rod works and what you're looking for. So that's my method for adjusting the heel access truss rod. I hope you like this video, and thanks for watching.